Well, hi, everybody. This is Dr. Mark Eades giving another video about things that we can do now that we are on quarantine with COVID-19 all across the country. So I did a video earlier about how do you make the most of this situation. This one's going to be a little more specific to how do you keep up a routine now that you're in a very different environment, and the typical things that might keep you on a routine, like having to go to class, going to lunch, things around campus, different group meetings, those things aren't in our lives anymore. So keeping a routine and keeping up with that, it's going to have a lot more to do with how you create it in your own life rather than relying on the things that are around you. So I want to think a little bit more about that today with you all, and just to put some ideas out there about what making a routine looks like and how it can be really beneficial to us. So when I think about creating a routine, one of the things that I tell people all the time is that I think about it not necessarily of the things that you're going to do. I think about it in terms of three anchoring points about how you structure your day. I think about it in terms of the start of the day, taking a break midway through your day to think about how are things working or how are things not working, and do I want to make any adjustments? And then the final anchor point about how do I wind down and end my day. You can fill up in between those points with really anything that you want, but those are really important key parts of how do you create and maintain a routine in your life, those three anchor points. So I want to think about those today. The first one, starting the day, is really important because how you start your day very often is going to be how you carry through with the rest of your day. So the way that you start today, it's going to set the tone, the pace of how you start your day, the feel of how you start it is really going to carry through with everything else that you do. So if you start your day, you wake up and you're immediately rushing around and you have to go and start an assignment or do something immediately, and you're already in that frantic kind of mood, more often than not, you're going to find that the rest of the day feels frantic, that you're rushing around, that you're going from one point to the next really as quickly as possible. And that's not necessarily the way that most of us would want to have our days go. So starting your day fairly intentionally with the pace and the tone that you want the rest of your day to follow. That's why this anchoring point is so important. Timing is really important for how you wake up. If you're trying to wake up at 11 o'clock one day and then 8 a.m. the next day, your body's going to get kind of confused. It's going to start to wonder, like, hold on, am I supposed to wake up? Am I supposed to start doing things? Especially if the timing just doesn't line up from one day to the next. If you start getting going at the same time every day, your brain and your body are going to start reacting. It's just going to naturally start to feel like this is when I get up and start to do things. And you're going to find it's a lot easier just to get going. So if you make the time the same every day, that's going to go a long way to making that routine work for you. And the way that you start your day, it's not just the tone, it's not just the pace of how you get things going, but starting your day with something that you can really look forward to, something that you can say, I'm going to start things off, and it's not going to be jumping right into doing work or something that I have to get done, but it's going to be something enjoyable, something I really like. So for me, I start every day with a cup of coffee. I just sit around for a little bit as best as I can with a one-year-old around, and try to just sit around with a few moments just to myself to appreciate that this is a new day and I'm going to start things slowly and just enjoy my coffee and not have anything else on my plate or on my mind. For me, that's really important. For you, it might look different. It might start off with having a TV show that you really want to watch or listening to some music that you really enjoy. It might be calling somebody. If you're someone who really enjoys the connection with other people, you might want to start your day off interacting with another person, and that's all fine. The important thing is to keep in mind that you want your day to be something that you enjoy right from the start. It's going to make it a lot easier to get going and be excited about your day if you start it off in a way that feels right for you. And then when you start thinking about your day from that morning anchoring point, you're going to start thinking about the things that you want to do. I would love it if you start thinking about the process of your day. what you're going to be doing with your day rather than the outcome, the things that you hope to achieve with your day. Those are very different ways of thinking about goals. So I want to get into that a little bit more about the difference between process and outcome goals and why it's really important from my perspective to focus more on the process rather than the outcome. So these are the two I just highlighted earlier, process versus outcome goals. And the big difference between these is that when you think about outcome goals, it's more like what you will have done at the end of the day. So if you're thinking about like, I will get an A on my physics exam, or I will finish 5 books by the end of the week, you can see that those are the end goals. That's what's going to happen if you're thinking in an outcomes driven kind of way about things that I will achieve at the end of whatever I'm doing. And those are all well and good. I mean, having outcome goals, things I want to achieve, is an important part of scheduling a plan for yourself. But outcomes don't really tell us what we're going to be doing in order to get to that outcome. They kind of skip that very important part in between about what are you going to do to get to that outcome. So for me, thinking more about the process, more about how you plan to go through your day is way more important than thinking about the actual outcome of what you hope to achieve at the end of it. So having goals like, I will study for physics on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 2 hours and attend a Friday study group up until a month before I take my test. So you're talking about what you are going to be doing during that time, not necessarily what that grade is that you want to get at the end of it. Do you want to get an A? Probably. In fact, I imagine most people would want to, but it's way more important to be thinking about what am I going to be doing between now and when I take that test that's going to allow me to get the grade that hopefully I will get. That's where you're going to get a lot more reward for putting your efforts into. Or another example of like, I will read for an hour each day from 9 to 10. You may want to finish 5 books at the end of the week, and that's a fine goal. But what are you going to be doing to help yourself reach that goal? And saying, I'm going to read for an hour each day, that's more of the process, what I'm actually going to be doing each day to get closer to that outcome goal. So when you have that first anchoring point in the morning, thinking about the process, about how I'm going to go through my day. Those are the types of things that you want to be thinking of, because those are the things you're actually going to be doing. Then for midday check-in, that middle anchor point, it's great to just take a break and reflect from time to time. So some things that that middle anchor point can do is that it helps break the day into 2 chunks. For me, I get a little overwhelmed thinking about, okay, I've got the entire day out in front of me, like 8, 9, 10 hours that I'm going to be doing things, and I have no idea what I'm going to be doing with all of that time. It feels a little more manageable to me to think that I'm going to have a morning-ish time that's going to be about 3 or 4 hours that I'm going to do some things, and I'm going to have an afternoon time, same thing, 3 or 4 hours that I'm going to do some things. Well, I can work a little bit better thinking about time when it's broken up into smaller pieces like that. And having a midday check-in allows me to do that. What am I going to do before that midday check-in, and what am I going to be doing afterwards? And it also gives you a chance to think about, how are things going, or do I want to change anything? There are some days where you're going to be doing really, really well and feeling like I'm accomplishing so much. The things that I want to be doing, I am doing. I've got lots of energy. Great. And so taking some time to check in and to reflect on things are going really well. I can't wait for the second half of the day. Terrific. What a great time to reflect on that. But some days things just aren't going to be going great. You might have a hard time waking up or getting energy to do the things that you want to do. So having a chance to sit down and say, hold on, what's going on here? Is there anything I want to do differently for the second half of my day that maybe wasn't working so well for the first half? That's your chance to check in with yourself and to make some adjustments. So it's not just going through the entire day doing something that isn't really working. You have a chance to check in and make some changes. And then it's also a natural reset for your brain. Brains need rest, and not just rest at the beginning and end of a day. They need rest periodically as you move through it too. So if your goal is, I'm going to wake up and go at 100 miles an hour for the entire day, you're going to get burned out. You're going to feel like I'm losing energy. And you probably notice, like towards the end of the day, like around the 2 p.m. time, you just don't concentrate all that well anymore, because your brain is just not created to work in that way. So having a natural reset where you tell your brain, I'm going to take a break for a little bit, midday, give you a chance to rest, and then we're going to get back into it for the second half of the day. You'll probably realize that, boy, I can just get more done taking a break than I can if I just try to power through. So giving yourself a chance to take a break midday can actually be very helpful, and a lot of times allow you to achieve more than if you don't take that break. And then ending the day too, that final anchor point. It's really important when you end your day, keeping the same time, the same sort of bedtime routine as well. So if you're trying to go to bed at 2 a.m. one day and 9 p.m. the next day, again, your brain and body, just like waking up, it's going to get confused and wonder, am I supposed to go to sleep now? Am I supposed to still be awake? I don't really know. I hear from students all the time that they try to go to bed at a certain time and their body doesn't really know if it's bedtime or not. And they might just sit there for an hour trying to go to sleep. A lot of times that has to do with how you're letting your body wind down and when you're letting your body go to sleep. So keeping roughly the same time every night is going to be important and sends the message to your brain and your body that this is when we start to power down. This is when we start to go to bed. Another thing that I find works really well for me and a lot of students I work with is writing down your worries, writing down things you want to think about tomorrow, making sure that you do that before you go to your bedroom or before you go to the place where you go to sleep, keeping a list of those things out someplace else so that they don't follow you into your bedroom, and literally leaving the list away from where you go to bed. Keeping that someplace else can be really helpful. It sends the message that I'm going to think about this tomorrow. This is not going to follow me into where I sleep, because where I sleep is only for relaxing, going to bed, and feeling like I've completed the day, that there's nothing else that I need to think about. What you do want to do, though, when you're going to bed, if you keep a journal or if you are just more of like the mentally reflective type of person, is when you're going to sleep, reflect on the things that you did well. Reflect on the accomplishments that you had. There's nothing that's too small, but if you want to be in the mind state of being able to relax and go to bed, you want to be thinking about the positive things that you did for yourself during the day. That's going to allow your brain to relax into the idea of sleep much easier than if you're thinking about, oh no, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. Your brain's going to get worked up by that and want to think about them a little bit more. That's not where you want to be. The goal of going to bed is to go to sleep. And the best way to go to sleep is to give every message you can to your brain and to your body that this is when we go to bed, it's time to sleep, that's it. We'll worry about things to worry about when tomorrow happens. So those are just a few ideas that I had for you all, but hopefully you all are staying safe and that you're taking care of yourselves. And if you have any other ideas or topics that maybe you would like one of the counselors at the Counseling Center to touch on, send us an email, give us a call. We're happy to think things through with you, but hoping nothing but the best for you all, and that, again, you're taking care of yourselves. So see y'all soon and have a good one. Bye for now.